Hello, my name is Gabe Zollner. I was watching a bit of TV this afternoon, and Chris Wallace was on, and he had Senator Dick Durbin. Dick Durbin's a Democrat, and I think he's the #2 Democrat in that big pile of Democrats, and he's been around an awful long time. Probably way too long. But anyway, the topic of discussion was what took place in Connecticut on Friday of this past week. And naturally, everyone in the Democratic side is screaming to try to restrict gun laws, more restrictive gun laws, and in all probability to try to take away their Second Amendment rights. That's probably where it's going to end up heading if it's allowed to continue in that direction. But what's interesting is that Wallace needs to maybe suggest to Dick Durbin to do what I did this afternoon. And what I did is I went to Google, and I asked Google a simple question. And I wanted to know which states have the highest rate of handgun-related murders, and which states have the most restrictive gun laws. And guess who came out on top? Interesting, huh? The District of Columbia earned top honors. And for every 100,000 citizens in that state, 16 get killed by firearms. So that makes them #1 in the nation per capita. Now, guess what other record they set? Well, in the District of Columbia that has the highest and most restrictive gun laws, on average, 255.98 citizens in Columbia are robbed at gunpoint. Now, how could that be? I mean, how could there be so many murders that are gun-related, handgun-related, and so many robberies that are handgun-related when people can't have guns? Oh, I know. Those guns must be legal guns. Those guns must belong to the bad guys. Those guns are guns that weren't registered. That's the only thing that makes any sense. Now let's go to California. California also has very restrictive gun laws. I know because I lived there for 28 years. And in 2010, they had 1,811 murders, out of which 953 were handgun related. Now how could that be? How could you have 953 handgun related murders in a state that has very restrictive handgun rules? I know, that must be the same as in the District of Columbia. Most of those guns were probably illegal guns. Those guns weren't registered. And the bad guys are the ones that are using those guns. Who are they killing? Well, who knows? Probably a lot of those are innocent people. Let's go to Illinois next. Now, Illinois, in 2010, they had 453 murders, out of which 355 were handgun related. How does that happen? Now, go to Michigan. 558 murders in 2010, 239. Well, it's just about half. 239 are handgun related. Now, how can that be? Michigan has incredibly restrictive gun laws. Not as bad as District of Columbia, but still, how do you have that many handgun-related murders? Now, New York, it's got to be tough to get a handgun. And the reason that is hey, Bloomy, he had 860 murders in 2010, and only 135 were handgun-related. But what else does that tell us? What that tells us is somebody wants to kill somebody and they can't get a handgun because it's really tough to get one, apparently in New York. Well, you kill them anyway. That's how you ended up with 860 total murders. New Jersey, well, 363 murders in 2010, out of which 216 were handgun related. So what does this all tell us? Well, you know what it tells me? It tells me that if they try to take away our handguns, then what's going to happen on a national scale is what's happening, or has happened, in District of Columbia. Gun-related crimes are going to increase. Gun-related murders are going to increase, as well as gun-related robberies. Why? Because the bad guys know us good guys don't have guns. That's why. Doesn't that make sense to you? Sure makes a lot of sense to me. You know what this is really all about? And what happened in Connecticut is unbelievably painful for a lot of people, and will be for the rest of their lives. But what it's also done is it's taken the focus off of Benghazi. The focus needs to be back on Benghazi. And the reason that is I personally believe that that could be Obama's Achilles heel. I do believe that to be true. Because what will come out of it, if a thorough investigation is in fact made, what will come out of it is Obama ordered the military to stand down. Obama ordered the Navy SEALs to stand down. Obama allowed Americans to die. That's what will come out of it. That is not a commander-in-chief. That is a co-conspirator to murder. And that's what needs to be proved. And so, Dick, take the focus off the handgun with your buddies in Congress. Get on doing a thorough review of who did what when. We already know who did what when. We also know who didn't do what when. So get on with it. Begin the impeachment process. Begin the trial. Thanks.